Hello and welcome to another The Church at Hiraeth. We hope you enjoy our regular weekly online services, and we trust that you also enjoy and get something from this one as well.
I'm going to sing the first two verses of our song, which is "What a Fellowship, What a Joy Divine, Leaning on the Everlasting Arms." It's taken from a verse in the Bible in Deuteronomy, and it says, "The eternal God is thy refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms." And I think that's a lovely thought, that God's arms will always be there to be around us and to catch us when we fall.
Today's short message comes from the book of Philippians in the New Testament. It's the Apostle Paul writing, and in verse 4 of chapter 4, he writes, "Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice." We've had a beautiful spell of weather at the moment, certainly contrasting the start of the year where it was fairly cold and sometimes very wet indeed. But we've got beautiful sunshine, no wind, and people are certainly taking advantage of that. And this weekend we visited Himley Hall, which is very close to where we live. We can walk there if we want, or a very short car journey if we choose to go that way. And walking around, bathed in that glorious sunshine that I've just referred to, people were happy. It's easy to be happy and joyful, isn't it, when the sun's shining, the sky's blue, not a cloud to be seen. But what about when things aren't going our way? What about Monday morning when we're off to work and it's cold and raining and misty and foggy and maybe snow and ice on the ground? Are we as happy then as when it's the weekend and the sun's out and it's a beautiful day? That verse tells us, rejoice in the Lord always. That's a key word, isn't it? Not just to rejoice when things are going our way, but to rejoice when things aren't. And if we allow ourselves to be dictated to by things over which we have no control, then we're at the mercy of that which we have no say in. We need to be more in control of our emotions, our feelings, our own destiny, so that even though things aren't going our way, we still can rejoice. Rejoice in the Lord always. I say it again, rejoice. That's what the Apostle Paul wrote 2,000 years ago, and those words are still relevant, fresh, and applicable to us today.
What have I to dread? What have I to fear? Leaning on the everlasting arms, I have blessed peace with my Lord so near. Leaning on the everlasting arms, leaning, safe and secure
if you're of a certain age, then you grew up before the days of the internet. And no doubt, like me, you loved music and you like to sing along to songs. And it was only when the internet became more widely available, and in particular song lyrics started to appear online, that I realised that for many songs that I'd sung over the years while I was in the car driving along, I'd actually been singing the wrong lyrics. And that's something that I'm sure many of us can probably identify with, especially, as I say, if you are of a certain age. And that hymn that Debbie played, I love that. That's a great song. And I can recall when our children were very young, growing up in church, that one of our daughters thought the words of that song were leaning on the elastic arms. And actually, when you think of it, that's a wonderful picture of God, isn't it? Not just the everlasting arms, but the elastic arms. You won't find that word in the Bible, but nevertheless the principle's still there, isn't it? That God's arms are elastic. They stretch, they reach out to wherever we are. And if you're watching this today or in the future, and maybe you're going through difficult times, maybe you're going through challenging circumstances, just remember that God's arms are not only everlasting, they're always there and they always will be, but they're also elastic as well. They're long enough, they can stretch enough to reach down to wherever we are. Whatever our situation, circumstance is, God will always be there for us with his everlasting elastic arms. Amen.